One night, a Japanese couple shared the same dream of Fuku Sanzo, an Indian saint. In this dream, Fuku Sanzo informed the couple that they would soon conceive a child, and after delivering this message, Fuku Sanzo climbed inside of the woman's womb. Mysteriously enough, on June 15th, 774 CE, when the woman gave birth to her son, Saiki Kukai, he entered the world with his hands together as if in prayer. In consequence to this myth, some believe that Kukai is Fuku Sanzo, who was the third major master of Tantric Buddhism to come to China. Little did Kukai's parents know that their son would follow in the footsteps of this great saint with his spread of Tantric and esoteric Buddhism throughout Japan, for he would become the founder of the Shingon school of esoteric Buddhism. Throughout the course of his life, Kukai became a revolutionary in Japan by introducing innovative ideas inspired by Chinese esoteric Buddhism. Although they lived over 12 centuries apart, Siddhartha Gautama, who is known as the Buddha, and Kukai withdrew from a materialistic world in a similar manner. They abandoned the futures their families expected of them. While Siddhartha Gautama refused to follow his father's footsteps as king, Kukai decided to withdraw from college in Nagaoka in order to live in the mountains, despite his family's dream that he would pursue a career as a government bureaucrat. However, the reasons these men devoted their lives to Buddhism are dissimilar. Siddhartha Gautama desired to search for the way out of universal suffering, whereas Kukai was suspected to have changed his path simply due to an interest in religious practice rather than theology or a career in public service. Even though Kukai was not initially searching for an answer like Siddhartha Gautama was, his time spent in the mountains would lead him on a quest. While in the mountains, Kukai took advantage of the peaceful and quiet environment by practicing and perfecting his meditation. Aside from meditating, Kukai contemplated all the reasons why Buddhism was the best of the competing religions in Japan. This led to his composition of the text Indications in 798 CE, in which expressed the superiority of Buddhism compared to Taoism and Confucianism. However, writing this book was not the significant aspect of his time in the mountains. Instead, it was his dream that served as the most important part of his isolation. During a dream, Kukai was directed to study Dainichi Kyo, the Sutra of the Ultimate Buddha, Dainichi Nyorai. Kukai believed that if he mastered the correct interpretation of Dainichi Kyo, he could understand the highest truths of Buddhism. Therefore, he desired to go to China because he believed studying the Dainichi Kyo there would help him achieve his goal. Fortunately, in 804 CE, the imperial government of Japan sponsored his voyage to China. Here his quest began. Kukai devoted 2 years in China in order to achieve his goal of understanding Dainichi Kyo. He practiced and perfected his ability to read and write in Sanskrit in order to accurately comprehend underlying meanings within Dainichi Kyo. He also achieved high rankings among Buddhist monks. Through his scholarly efforts and devotion to Shingon, or esoteric teachings, Kukai was named the 8th patriarch of his lineage of Tantric Buddhism, and was ordained as master of the Shingon, or True Word, sect. Kukai returned to Japan with innovative ideas about esoteric Buddhism, as well as 216 scriptural texts, including 42 in Sanskrit, and this gesture constituted the first wave in the influx of Sanskrit in Japan. However, the reason he brought back so many of the Sanskrit texts and innovative ideas was because he planned to use them in his Shingon school, Kukai had perceived no problem in bringing Shingon to Japan, but soon he realized there would be a conflict when he discovered what Saicho had done. Saicho, a Japanese monk, borrowed and copied esoteric texts from Kukai, and during this time period they were civil towards each other. However, a disagreement about the balance between exoteric and esoteric teachings caused them to become enemies. Perhaps Saicho then felt justified for his actions upon returning to Japan. When Saicho returned to Japan before Kukai with his ideas about esoteric Buddhism, Kukai had to wait for government acceptance of his Shingon school. Because Kukai did not possess the economic and political power that Saicho did, Kukai had to wait 3 years for support of his new religion in Japan. Fortunately for Kukai, his Shingon school increased in popularity, while Saicho's Tendai Buddhism became less popular. Despite these results, Saicho and Kukai are both known for the formal introduction and establishment of esoteric Buddhism in Japan. The various aspects of Kukai's Shingon school exist in consequence to his exposure to esoteric Buddhism in China. Since Kukai's original intention was to understand Dainichi Kyo, he believed that all his students should do the same. It was important that his students learn the esoteric doctrine of the 6 great elements: earth, water, fire, wind, space, and consciousness, which comprise all things in the cosmos and are the body and mind of Dainichi Nyorai. Kukai believed that followers of the Shingon sect should connect with Dainichi Nyorai, the Buddha as a Dharma body. At the Shingon school, reading and writing in Sanskrit was essential, especially since there were 40 Sanskrit texts whose mastery was required for students of the Shingon school. While Kukai was in China, he was introduced to the Robu esoteric system that united the lineages of the Diamond Realm, Kongokai, and Matrix Realm, Taizokai mandalas, and he used this in his school. Although these aspects of the Shingon sect are different than Dharma Vinaya, Kukai's Shingon sect was similar to the Buddha's Dharma Vinaya in the way that Kukai believed in Muga, which is Japanese for no self, and no self is a core aspect of Dharma Vinaya. Kukai was the first Japanese Buddhist to engage seriously in the concept of original enlightenment. In fact, his view of enlightenment is said to have influenced the original enlightenment thought of Japanese Tendai. This idea means that anyone can achieve enlightenment whenever one desires. One prevents himself from becoming enlightened by believing that he is trapped by samsara, or by his social status or sex. Trying to prevent each person's social status from interfering with gaining enlightenment, Kukai was the first to establish a school for the economically disadvantaged citizens of Kyoto. However, do notice the incongruity that Kukai did not want gender to affect one's path to enlightenment, yet at Mount Koya, Kukai established the Great Monastic Center, which was recognized for its powerful kami, but it excluded women. Although this monastic center discriminated against women, Kukai did have the monastic center placed as far away from as much governmental influence as possible, so as to not let the government interfere with one's journey to enlightenment. Kukai's ideas about who can achieve enlightenment were innovative, as well as his ideas of enlightenment in the Shingon school. Kukai identified that when one has attained an awakened nature during his spiritual journey, he must travel through 10 stages, each of growing significance. In the first path, an awakened person must travel through the goat level. At this stage, one is unaware of realization and believes that illusory reality is true reality. The 2nd through 9th stages are associated with Confucian, Brahmanical, and Buddhist schools. In the last stage, one comes to terms with the unique idea of glorious mind, most secret and sacred. This level of epiphany exists only in Shingon's Tantra. Perhaps the final stage can be paralleled to the Dharmavinya's nirvana. Dissimilar to Dharmavidya is Kukai's focus on the imperativeness of the Yoga Tantra. Kukai believed that the Yoga Tantra most accurately represented the words of the Buddha, and Kukai considered the Yoga Tantra to be a direct teaching of the Dharmakaya. Kukai based Shingon on the tantras of the yoga class, which imitate the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha Mahavaroshana. Buddha Mahavaroshana is Dharmakaya, which is likened to the Dainichi, the Great Sun. Because Kukai believed that Dainichi Nyorai pervades all things, the Dharmakaya is always present. It is essential to understand that Kukai perceived any sutras that were not tantric to be simply the word of the emanation body Sakyamuni. Sakyamuni Buddha was an exoteric Buddhist. Therefore, following the word of the emanation body would be against Shingon because Kukai followed esoteric Buddhism. Esoteric and exoteric Buddhism differ at great extremes. Kukai practiced esoteric Buddhism as opposed to exoteric Buddhism because he believed that esoteric Buddhism was superior to the latter. Esoteric Buddhism teaches that one can be enlightened immediately as opposed to after a long process until enlightenment, as taught in exoteric Buddhism. Kukai introduced esoteric Buddhism as a concept to Japanese culture. Kukai did not create esoteric Buddhism, but he did invent the distinction between the exoteric teaching Kengyo and esoteric teaching Mikkyo. In exoteric Buddhism, the message is altered so that the audience can understand. However, in esoteric Buddhism, the message is exactly what the Buddha discovered when he experienced enlightenment. Kukai expressed that in exoteric Buddhism, the teachers separate the true natures of things from their outward appearance. However, Kukai believed that esoteric Buddhism reveals what is true, including the phenomenal world in accordance with conditions. In esoteric Buddhism, the truths have to be experienced directly in order to be fully understood. Kukai refused to preach for the benefits of the audience. Rather, he would make assertions and allow Shingon followers to figure it out for themselves. Not only did time spent studying in China allow Kukai to make these distinctions, but he was also able to understand the highest truths of Buddhism. And some of these truths can be seen at the heart of esoteric Buddhism. The main focus of esoteric Buddhism is the three mysteries, or Sanmitsu. Sanmitsu in the Shingon school is the secret language of the Dharmakaya's body, speech, and mind through which the cosmic Buddha unveils his innermost enlightenment. A Shingon follower uses three tools as a method of reaching the gates to enlightenment of the three mysteries. The first tool is the mantra, which is what Shingon means in Japanese, which purposely is also the term Kukai chose to refer generically to his new form of Buddhism. A mantra is a sacred syllable or phrase. Shingon means true words, and the truth was envisioned while Kukai chanted, using his own body as a vehicle for enlightenment. Only when a listener is completely absorbed into the sound of each word can he hear the preaching of the Dharmakaya and the voice of the Dainichi Nyorai, which then allows the listener to perceive reality. Focusing on these chants allows one to advance to using the second tool. The second tool is the mandala. The mandala is a vehicle for reflexive awareness that allows one to understand the mystery of the mind. It is a visualization of the Dharmakaya. It is meditations on specific objects of worship that one creates in his mind. Kukai believed that there were four basic kinds of mandalas, and each may signify a distinct aspect of reality. However, Determining the four types is unnecessary because Kukai believed that they are not separate from each other. Although it is a complicated matter, Kukai would rather followers of Shingon school focus on the mandala as a tool and not on how to categorize it, because wasting time trying to decipher the four types will prevent one from experiencing mudra. The third tool is mudra. The mudra allows a person to experience the phenomenal world as it truly is. By listening to the chant of the mantra and hearing the words of the Dharmakaya, one meditates upon mandala, and then mudra is experienced. To experience mudra, one must assume a specific hand posture because it symbolizes the all-pervasive character of the Nichi Nyorai. Because mudra allows one to perform a physical action, which is raising one's hand in a specific way, mudra is applied by Sokushin Dobutsu, attaining enlightenment with this present body. This parallels to Kukai's belief that everyone has a potential of attaining enlightenment in this very existence. Use of the three tools allows a Shingon follower to understand the body-mind ground through meditation by understanding Sanmitsu, the mysteries of body, speech, and mind. Interestingly enough, it was meditation that originally inspired Kukai to travel to China in search of the highest truths of Buddhism, and it is meditation that makes these truths accessible. Meditation was such an important aspect of Kukai's life that in his last meditation on March 21st, 835 AD, he died on Mountain Koya. After his death, Kukai received the name Kobo Daishi, which means great teacher of Buddhist teachings. The influence of Kukai was so great that Shingon is the only remaining tantric school in East Asia. Aside from introducing many Sanskrit texts to Japan, as well as texts on how to read and write in Sanskrit, Kukai perfected the hiragana syllabary, which allow the Japanese to write their own language. He wrote over 50 works, so that his philosophical and extensively intellectual state of mind still remains in society centuries after his death. Japan's greatest saint, Kukai, who had originally intended to go into government, completely influenced Japanese history in a way he may never have imagined.